I want to talk a little bit about so business. Sounds like you kind of fell into this marketing piece. I say fell into marketing because in my mind, I'm like, you got this Facebook group, people start coming to it, people are emailing you, you've written this book, you've left your job now, things are starting to kind of pick up. What have been the challenges of working for yourself? And is there anything you wish you hadn't done in that period of time, either in the early pieces or more recently? I
mean, I never really got weekends, I guess, when I was at the senior level, because I was working at a very senior level. But certainly the beginning of my senior level career, we didn't have email in the way that you do now. And you certainly didn't, when I was over in the Far East, we didn't have smartphones. So you could get away. It wasn't as if people were messaging you the whole time, expecting to get back to you. I would really love that we didn't have quite this 24/7 world, because you really do feel that you can never get away from it. And it is tiring. It's really tiring. And particularly for Andy, I produce the content, I write, talk, lecture, answer queries, all that kind of thing. He does everything else. So he'll do, we don't really do much marketing. We're really bad at it. Just if people want to join us, that's great. And if they don't, that's fine. We could definitely have done a lot better, but we're just not kind of promotey kind of people. But he does all the online stuff. He's the one that will get the Monday note out. He'll organise conferences. I do podcasts and he'll put them together. I just interview the person. So he's the whole techie thing. So he really can't get away from it, because he'll check email before he goes to bed just to see if maybe somebody's had a login problem. And he'll check it as soon as he wakes up the next morning, and then he'll check several times during the day. So is everyone okay? Is anyone having an issue? Can we give them sort of great customer service? And I can more easily schedule when I write and speak. But then when you become known in this field, and you're the kind of person that likes helping others, every day requests are coming in, and a number you have to turn down. But if they're people that I've spoken with at conferences and they say, hey, I'm getting one of those attacks from, dietitians maybe in the field trying to get me cancelled as a doctor or as a academic, a professor, they're trying to cancel all kinds of people. Can you help? Can you check something I've written? Can you write something? Can you do something for me? I want to help. And there's part of me saying, I really need a rest. And there's part of me saying, look, I want to help. I'm in this world now. So for as long as I'm in it, I need to be fully in it with both feet.
But that comes down to your mission and purpose, doesn't it, for you and your husband? Maximum, I can't remember the exact phrase, but you're basically being of service to people and being a good person in the process. And you're able to help people through that, whether it's through your diet. And that's what I like. This is what I like. I know I'm drawn towards people that are in business for those sorts of reasons. And they go, oh, I've got something underlying it. And I know this is how I earn money. But actually, I there's other things that happen as a result. My impact in the world is not just defined by the amount of people who sign up to my newsletter. It's more than that. I mean, I like I was saying, I came across you in the conflicts, and it was interesting. I'd love for you to just share a little bit about conflicts of interest, how you got into the area of conflicts of interest, a little bit about the cancel culture in your arena, because this is what put you on a bit of a pedestal for me, because I was noting people who over the last year were going, okay, I'm going to step up, I'm going to stand out, I'm going to say, I'm going to talk about some things. And because I need to, even though it may not be that popular, and that's how you kind of came to my attention. So yeah, we just share a little bit about the conflicts of interest stuff that you do and that you've written.
I'm trying to think now what the first one was. So since 2008-9, I've been in the nutrition field. So I think that the official advice that we get in the US, in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, globally, which is basically base your meals on starchy foods, is bad advice, really bad advice. And since we've been telling people to do that, obesity has increased, tenfold. since the early 70s. Diabetes is on a rocket trajectory.
Do you think they know? Sorry, Zoe, to interrupt, but do you think the government, in giving that advice, knows, or do you think that they've done what most people do when they see all the diets and they're like, right, okay, none of that, none of that, none of that, none of that. Okay, right, this is, you know, like, it's just a matter of the safest possible little minute.
Do they know? I mean, this is why I did the PhD that I did in the area that I did, because to understand the obesity epidemic, you go to look at when did it start. And it started around sort of the 70s, 80s. The American chart is just incredible. It kind of goes on like that, and then it just takes off. So you sort of say, okay, what happened at that point there? And what happened is we changed our dietary guidelines. Now, that could be a coincidence, but it needs exploring. So then you get into, what did we change our dietary guidelines to? We changed them to low fat. We said you should not have more than 30% of your diet in the form of total fat. You shouldn't have more than 10% in the form of saturated fat. So why did we do that? Well, we did that because we came to the view that fat caused heart disease. And it doesn't, which is the long and short of my 3.5-year PhD. It just doesn't. There is no evidence whatsoever. And I remember when the first paper went out and it just went viral. I mean, it was covered in Sydney and the US and New Zealand. And I was driving in, I did about 30 interviews the day that the paper came out, and I was going to be on Radio 4 up against the head of Public Health England, and then she wasn't on it anymore. It was just me. I mean, it was just nuts. And they quite quickly came out and said, oh, yeah, you know, there wasn't really any evidence at the time, but there's loads of evidence now. And it's like, well, okay, because that's my next paper that's about to come out. And actually, there's no more evidence now. You know, there really is no evidence that fat is trying to harm us. And it makes no sense that it would be, because why would Mother Nature put all the nutrients in all the food that's also got fat if she's trying to save us and kill us at the same time? I mean, it's insane. It's absurd. So that doesn't stack up. But when you realize, and this was a real penny drop moment for me, and anyone who lectures on the circuit in my world didn't study nutrition, because you just get taught nonsense. They figured it out for themselves. So you sort of look at this pie and you say, okay, there's only 3 things that we eat: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. And then you realize that protein tends to be pretty constant in any natural diet at about 15%, maybe 20%, but 15 is a pretty safe global norm. So then you look at the rest of the pie and you say, okay, so if they take fat down to 30% and protein is 15, then carbohydrate has got to be 55, which is what happened. So then they start spreading that message, because actually they've demonized fat. Protein is what it is. So then it's like, oh, base your meals on starchy foods. Eat loads of rice, eat loads of pasta, eat potatoes, eat cereals, eat bread, and all the rest of it. And of course, the fake food companies absolutely love that, because that's all the stuff that they make. Don't put butter on your bread. Have these expensive, horrible, plasticky, you know, spreads instead. They absolutely loved it. So your question, do they know that there's only when you've got dietary guidelines that are that bad, there's only 2 possible reasons. One is the people who put them together are incompetent, and the other is that they're conflicted. And it can be a combination of the 2. So you look at things like the Eat Well plate, as it's called in the UK. And if you Google Eat Well plate, you'll see it up online. I call it the Eat Badly plate. Other people have got other names for it. I think that was probably one of my first big conflicts of interest things. And back in 2016, when they did a revised version of the plate, I got an article in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, because I'd done a bit of forensics and realised that Public Health England had actually appointed a panel to come up with the revised version of the Eat Badly plate, which was just as bad. And that panel comprised the Food and Drink Federation, the Institute of Grocery Distribution, the British Nutrition Foundation, which is the who's who of the fake food industry, the Association for Convenience Stores. I mean, it was just the who's who of the fake food industry. Now, that's not incompetent. That's can it? That's conflict. That's really bad. So, you know, when people say, oh, you know, we should beat up the fake food industry and all the rest of it, it's like, no, not at all. I used to work for Mars. I understand very well. It is not the job of the fake food industry to solve obesity. It's the job of the fake food industry to sell fake food. That's why they're in business.
Yeah.
Ideally, be a good employer as well and don't damage your environment. But other than that, why do you care about obesity?